Fuck.
Okay.
I have returned. It's alright. Break it. It'll be fine. Oh. Yup. Boy, they definitely could have used a better picture for Netto on the MASL website. What?
I can hear you.
We're not muted. She can hear us in the stream. Thank you for warning me, because I was about to say something very not stream appropriate.
We're breaking down anything and everything Utica City FC related. This is the Keeper's Corner podcast with your hosts, Matt Sterling and Brandon Brooks. Let's get into it.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the end of playoff edition of the Keeper's Corner podcast, I guess we'll call it. Yeah. How we holding up, Brandon?
The end of our playoffs. I mean, you kind of brace for it, you know. It with everything going on, you know, it's just one of those things. If you're always ready to accept the end of the season, you're always ready for the end of the season. Whether you're ready to accept it or not is a totally different story. So, you know, it sucks. It's the end of the season, but
I mean, I hope my voice will have recovered by then. Ow.
And we'll be ready for it. Probably.
I saw the R and I was thinking maybe you had a Rock City Boom one. I was gonna be like,
I mean, I'm already starting to look ahead to
scare down.
The next sport. Not that we're necessarily doing good in MLS, but you know, repping the Revs. So, no.
Apparently the Galaxy are good this year, but I haven't really followed them since
Revolution jersey.
Keane and Donovan and
1-5-1, but
Beckham all left in like
you got
the
bad years, you got good
early
years.
2010s.
Take the good with the bad.
Mid 2010s. Is it just Brandon's? Or is it both of us?
Thing. Of course my audio is behind.
Well, you work on that. I guess I'm just going to open up and apologize for not being able to do a show last week.
Probably
Brandon
just
was
me.
sick, was kind of sick, but mostly I was just burned out with the IIHF.
That is a good question.
The Women's World Championship. There were 10 days of games within a 12-day span. And pretty much everyone that works in and around the odd is just burned out. Okay, your audio got better. But it was a very cool experience. Unfortunate the U.S. couldn't come home with gold. But I got a nice cup. It's aluminum. On the odd. It's just burned out. It's a nice IIHF Women's World Championship cup. Just some high quality H2O in there. Got a hat, got a t-shirt. And I get to look forward to doing it all again in 5 months when the World Championships for box lacrosse come to Utica. Yes. And we'll see. We know Taiyu did an off-season tournament last year. And, you know, we know a certain place that has 3 fields that they could lay down turf on and play games at the same time.
Hosting the men's that time, correct? Nice.
Yeah, I'm not saying, you know, I have an idea for a next possible jersey for fan-made jersey for us.
I've heard some rumblings about potentially some stuff that he'd like to try and do.
I'd love to collab on the Kings Cup
because you know it means he's kind of setting up shop, things like that. So I like hearing stuff like that for
Brandon,
players.
What is wrong with your audio? I think you
keep
did,
failing at
'cause
something.
You keep failing at something, and I don't know what.
I literally have not changed a single thing since we last did this. Nothing.
You done something. You
I
done
have
something.
done nothing. Nothing.
You didn't do anything to your computer?
I didn't say I didn't do anything to my computer. I said I didn't do anything to the streaming software and to the
Uh-huh.
and to Skype. I may have upgraded my graphics card, but
Mm-hmm. Did you update to the latest
No.
OBS?
because I didn't want to break something.
Could that be doing? I wonder if that broke it.
Stupid. Dumb. All right. It's fine now. I've actually just noticed that the delay on OBS for me is gone, at least looking at me, because I saw I had a delay and you
Mhm.
didn't. It looks good. So we're going to run with it. It's end of the season jitters.
Right.
That's what it is. God.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Why did you react like you just looked left and there was like I don't know,
Because
just
Facebook went
whatever your
off.
biggest fear is standing right there.
Because Facebook, ping.
Yeah, it's again, I'm sorry we couldn't do a show last week. It just when that Wednesday was like my first day off in 8 days, and I needed to go watch Godzilla X Kong.
Tell me it's good. Tell me it's good. Tell me it's good.
Brandon, if you just want to sit still and watch Big Monkey and Big Lizard punch things, movie. If you want there to be like cohesive plot and character
I don't give a
development
crap.
and maybe some kind of message, no. But if you're just like Lizard Brain wants violence,
I
there
want
is a scene.
I want to see bad lizard and good lizard fight and bad monkey and good monkey fight. That's what I want.
There's a YouTube channel called Pitch Meetings. I think I sent you the Ghostbuster one that he did for Afterlife. I don't know if you ever watched it, but he did one for Godzilla Kong, and it was like, all right, so you know how we did that movie that was Big Monkey punch Big Lizard? I think we switch it up, and this time, Big Monkey and Big Lizard team up. What do? They punch other Big Monkey and other Big Lizard.
I love it.
It's like sold. All right, we're gonna give Kong a robot hand so you can sell more toys, and we're gonna give Godzilla a new color so you can sell toys. And movie producer guys, just like, yes, I'm sold. Yes, I am aware. Oh, he's gone. I am not healthy enough vocally to carry this back. Yes, new toy.
I'm a big child at heart, okay? How do we go off the rails this far?
Yeah. I was talking about recovering so that like we could eventually do a show again, and I said I went and watched Big Monkey punch Big Lizard. Well, monkey mostly fought monkey, but technically they're apes. I know the difference. The tail is the giveaway.
This is the rabbit hole. We've gone so far down in it. We're coming out the other side.
Well, look, if we keep digging deep enough, maybe we'll get to the level that Utica performed in the first half at Kansas City.
That one hurts. Okay.
And that's what you call a
that's
segue. Uh-huh.
All right.
Not that I want to talk about these games, but
It needs to happen.
first one at Kansas City. We called it a must-win because it was the only chance to see Taiyu and Milton on the field, and they did not have an impact on the stat line. So,
Other than one assist.
you go there. Yes. Oh yeah. The Mo
Right.
NDI power play is a goal. I like I said, I was watching bits and pieces. There, that was on during USA Canada, and it was a very
Oh yeah,
busy
I
night
can
at the
imagine.
Odd. Sorry, technically it was the USA Hockey House at 72 Tavern.
Fancy.
Plenty of people getting their VIP on.
Yeah, it looked nice, but it's about all we got out of it.
Kudos to the crew that flipped everything back
Yeah.
for last night.
I mean, hey,
Glad it
yeah,
wasn't
no
me.
kidding. Even just watching the time lapses when they go from ice to soccer or vice versa, it's nuts how much goes into that.
I mean, typically after the soccer games, they tear down the turf right away, and they just left it out there. They're just like, everybody go home. You have done enough this week. We'll see you Wednesday when we have to get it ready for. Actually, no, take a day Wednesday. Hockey games are Friday and Saturday, so they got a few days so they can ease it off. Yeah, rough first half. Things looked better in the second half, and then overtime did not last 30.
No, it didn't. Nope. It was a super quick one. It was a unfortunate lapse in coverage that led to the end of the game.
Yeah, so guess we'll go
No.
through this the way we always do. Do you have a stat that tells the story?
No. No. I mean, again, I only caught, I can't say I caught the full thing for the first game. I was sick. I was feeling like crud. I did not stay up for the whole thing. I only, unfortunately, saw the first half. And the first half was not good. And then waking up and seeing the scores and seeing how close it was, this was. I talked to someone who did watch the full game, and it was basically a tale of two cities. Ha! Literally, first half, just nothing coming out of Utica whatsoever, and then the second half, just apparently Everton, got on the phone, got on a FaceTime, and hammered at home like, what the heck are you guys doing? And the next thing you know, I mean, Kansas City's literally held scoreless for 30 minutes. I mean, more than 30 minutes. Just over 30 minutes, because of they scored late in the second. So literally held for an entire half, and we score 3 times. I mean, that's it. That's impressive. That's a really good. That's what you love to see. But so I guess that's technically my. It's not really a stat that tells the story, but it's a stat that explains a little bit of the second half, explains a little bit that we scored 3 unanswered in the second half, and they had scored 3 to open things up in the first half unanswered. So I mean, it's not really a stat, but it tells the story of the game. Like, we held them for so long with nothing. And the first half, was not so good. It was literally us catching up in the second half.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. This is the 3-0 hole. You dug a hole, and you had to spend so much energy climbing back out of it just to force overtime. That you burn energy doing that, and mental lapses are a bit more prone when you're tired. And it did not take long for a mental lapse to occur.
Yep. And actually, I'm just going to address something in the chat real quick. It wasn't either one of those guys, Tyler. It was not it was not Nelly or Dylan. I wasn't gonna really call anyone out here, but if you watch that playback, just watch the overtime. It's literally 30 seconds. Watch it back. Watch who's covering Nacho. Watch who's covering him, and watch when he's not covered, and watch the train wreck that sort of happens between some of our players, and you'll see how the ball kind of how coverage got dropped, and how he literally had nobody on him. It was literally just him standing with Andrew, because his man he dropped his man. You know, Huber basically nailed it right on the head, but I was gonna try and not call him out for it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we've it all season. All the scores, balls getting cleaned up in the box, those have been Utica's Achilles heel. And it really was a dagger in the series because it put Utica on the defensive coming home.
Yeah, it definitely, I had to watch it back a few times, and I mean, yeah, it could have gone so much differently, so differently if if we had just gotten past that. But unfortunately, it was just the guy wasn't marked. He literally was just right there to pick up the rebound, and unfortunately, right in. Like, nothing Andrew could do about that. So it sucks. It unfortunately shows, it unfortunately shows the wrong side of a young team, a young, hungry team. And that's the inexperience.
A young, hungry, very offense focused team.
So it sucks. It happened.
Playing without their head coach.
That's, of course, always going to be a big thing.
On the road, yeah.
He was still involved, just not directly, and that hurts. I understand, kind of the priorities here, but I think the priorities of the club need to be worked on a little bit.
I mean, the priorities of the league need to be worked on, but I have a rant saved for that.
Yeah, Tyler, like I said, that's it. I had someone point that out to me initially, and then when I watched it back, it's like, oh yeah, okay. Watching the lines, watching where people are going, I see it. Like, it's very blatant. We just get a pile up of, we literally have 3 of our guys clustered together, and then nobody's covered. So it was just an unfortunate way that things played out. Sorry.
Your play that changed the game.
I kind of feel like, again, not seeing the whole thing, only kind of seeing some highlights. What at least kept us in this and made it feel like, hey, we're actually trying to come back here. I really felt like it was the second Kelvin goal. Like, the power play was great. I was super happy about that when I watched things back. I'm like, cool, we capitalized on a power play. It doesn't happen very often. But I'm not necessarily going to say, I guess I'm not even going to say the Calvin goal. It was honestly the fact that we got through the third, up 2, held them. Like, that, the fact that we were able to do that in what is usually considered our worst quarter. We've had some good ones this year, but the fact that we were able to do it in this key game, that started the momentum. That guided the momentum. Yeah. Everton's speech at halftime, basically, to keep the guys in it. It was really just that third quarter that pulled us back from the brink. Obviously that probably was started by Everton, getting under these guys like, let's go. But they executed it. They pulled it back, and they were able to bring it within 1 in the third, which I thought, when they're down 4-1 at the half, I thought we were, completely out of it. So, but that's what I'd have to go with.
Okay. Mine is the I'm still going to say it was a controversial overturning of I think it was Andreo's goal with the handball. It ended up on under review, and pardon me, I did a lot of yelling yesterday. We had very good "you bum" chant coming out of our corner, but look, I have yelled quite a lot. My voice cracked a few times. And I did not expect that goal to get overturned.
Yeah.
And watching it on under review, I would like to rescind a previous statement where I said that Sigic can do reviews as long as he's not on the field, because he said you need, what's the word? I'm blanking on that word. When they go to review, they need video evidence that is provides like unparalleled evidence to overturn the call on the field. And the best camera angle for that was the one behind the goal. It was dark. It was grainy. It looked like a found footage film from like a crowd-funded horror movie project where, it ended up being a scam, and out of the 1.2 million or whatever they raised, they put 20,000 into production and kept the rest for themselves. I couldn't tell if it hit his arm. I am shocked that it was overturned, because that game could have been over in regulation.
I don't know. To me, I think the word you were looking for was undeniable. I just thought of it.
Undeniable, yeah. Unparalleled, undeniable.
Undeniable proof that it is a foul. And I don't know, when I watched it, it felt like, it really looked like it was a foul. Now, granted, of course, I'm looking at it from a Utica perspective.
No,
yeah.
You mean the handball? Handball, yeah.
What did I say?
Foul.
It's still
a
foul. But watching it back, watching it as many times back as they did, it seemed pretty obvious, but at the same time, I don't know. I still partially questioned whether it was like off of the chest, but they overturned it. So I mean, I'm gonna go with their decision, obviously. Otherwise, yeah, you're right. It would have been over sooner. Because I think we would have gone to 6, and we think good things don't happen on 6.
Yeah. Yeah, they don't happen on 6 ever. But I don't know. I watched Under Review last week, and I sided with Lucas Almeida on everything that he was saying. I'm like,
He did have some good opinions.
Am I in favor of the players usually? Yeah, weird. I wonder how that would be.
And I will say I definitely agree with Tyler in the chat that everything, like watching Calvin move is it's like watching it's just like watching chocolate flow. Oh my god. It is just everything, every movement is just so calculated, so smooth. I want to see more.
When he gets a little more time with the team, isn't playing hurt, and has more than a week and a half worth of practices with the walls and everything, and then you put him out there with an offense with Frank and Nilton and Taylor Waldy. Well, everything will depend on who comes back now.
Of course.
Yeah, that is a very scary addition to this offense.
Yes. I am excited for the future. Wish we had more of it this season, but that's okay. You know, it always gotta come to an end sometime. Just wish we could get past the first freaking round.
All right, so here's the solution, because I'm not superstitious, but I am a little bit stitious. We are not allowed to wear white uniforms at home during the playoffs.
I get the white out the odd thing. I get it. It works for hockey.
I hate it. It doesn't.
No, I mean, like, I understand it for hockey. I don't get it for us.
Do a blackout.
I would like a blackout.
Do a blackout. It's anti. I was about to say anti-white, and that was going to come out very.
Whoa!
It's the opposite of a whiteout.
Right, we're signing off now. Bye. It's like the After Dark. You know, it's like the After Dark. You know, we do, black out the odd, and we bring in the After Dark theme basically for playoffs, because those are always fun.
Yeah. We'll do what we can do. Yeah. Maybe we'll just do it as fans. We can always just black out 212.
You've just got white t-shirts and hoodies and jerseys all around the odd, and just one section.
We banned the whiteout. We banned the DJ because 4 times I was trying to get a chant going, and then the DJ would cut in, and then the Kansas City scored. So maybe don't play music that's so loud you can't hear me screaming from the stands, because that means the guys on the field can't hear themselves trying to communicate on defense. And yeah, we've skipped on to the next game because there's nothing else to say about the one in Kansas City.
We pretty much covered it all.
And the other thing, and this is just me in general, and I've been on this for a few years. It started in baseball. I'd like to bring it to the MALS, and that is #ban the wave.
MASL.
I hate the wave.
Why?
Yeah.
What are we in the malls
What did
for?
I call
it? MALS.
I
You're combining MLS and MASL. We're making a whole new league.
I am so tired. It's
going to be the size of a regular soccer field, but we're going to use the boards.
Today is the first time I haven't left Boonville since, when was Easter?
Like a week or 2 weeks ago, I think.
Yeah, so I've either been at work or it's been a while. My brain's kind of fried.
You're always fried.
Like the fact I made it this far without letting a few of my colorful language slips happen is pretty surprising.
Hey, at least I have a button for it.
I
don't know if you want. I don't know the answer to this one. So, the question in the chat, like, you're usually the one that kind of plans out the what we're going to talk about. So I don't know what your plans are.
Was this the one about contracts discussions next year, blah, blah. So I was gonna wait on that until we get to our off-season episode, just so we can see who's actually not officially on the team, because unlike any of the major sports where I can go on Spotrac and find out how much the contract is, how long it's for, et cetera, I have no idea who's a free agent. I mean, I know 2, 3 maybe. A lot of, and we don't know contract options. And yeah, I will say one person last night that I was like, hey, hope to see you back next year. He was like, hey, you better tell Tommy to give me a big raise. I'm like, man, I don't have that kind of pull.
I know I talked to one, and his obviously he was, I want to come back, but they're year to year when they're first starting out, so we'll see what happens.
Look, I have an entire off season, Tyler. I will be working on more you bum chance. And since I have apparently trained 212 and 110, I think it is,
down below us.
111,
No.
I need to introduce the new one, and that is where we yell something for our guys, like, "Hey, Coughlin, I hear you always pay your taxes early." And then you finish with "you stud."
Actually get some positive ones in for our guys and some negative
Yeah.
ones in for the other team. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I know I know we
Yes.
kind of talked about that. So, but I also know talking with Dave, who is technically the organizer
Yes.
of the City Keepers. He was the original. I know that there is he's trying to get a push to kind of have Utica bring back advertising the fact that there's a club, or there's not a club, we're not a club, but you know, that there's a supporter section, and actually trying to get more people to come
Yes.
in. And the more people we get, because there's only like 8 of us. So it's like, you know, the more involvement we get, the more stuff we can do, like chants, things like that. Because I've had ideas since day one. It's just we never really get the chance to use them because we're so few.
Yeah. I mean, back in the first year, I was coming up with like individual player cheers that are probably still on the Twitter feed somewhere. Like I had one for Slav that somehow got his full last name in there to work because it fit with the Itsy Bitsy Spider. Uva Parapovich. I don't remember, but it worked. But yeah, I'd love to do some of this. Okay, yes, Steve, we'll put 112, 212. We'll just make the 12s into a dangerous corner for opposing players and a strong corner for our guys.
Expanding.
I feel like I need to put this out too on our social, but since you brought up City Keepers, we are not Keeper the mascot. I have been getting tagged as the Keeper Corner podcast and people taking pictures with Keeper, and I even got like a DM to the page that was like, "Hey Keeper, it's this person," and I'm like, I'm just gonna leave that in the chat and not. I don't want to embarrass them by being like, "Yeah, no, we're not the mascot," but
we're not them. Sorry. He does like hang out with us.
I know the guy who. I know the guy who's in there. But
what do you mean? That person in a suit? Anyway, game.
Yes. Yeah, 7-5 loss at home. No Nilton, no Frank, no Everton. I don't want to say no chance, but
so I am gonna say this, and the players did what they needed. They tried. These guys put their heart and soul out there. I was upset with the amount of coaching that they got. Lack thereof. When players have to come over to the beer garden because there are veteran players in there, and specifically one that is still technically on the roster, and they need to talk to them about what they should be doing on defense, you're not coaching correctly. Twitch. That's what I observed. That's one thing that I observed and was extremely frustrated with. And the fact that our coaching staff for this particular game, whenever something was happening, they stood back and were silent. Tommy is always loud and boisterous. but it was aimed everywhere but the bench, and the bench is where it needed it a lot of the time.
Mm-hmm.
I hate to be that guy, but I'm gonna be. It really hurt us not having our head coach who could make the proper adjustments at the proper times. It just, I don't know if it's an experience thing or what, but you know, Nate can only do so much. Casey, it just felt like there was a real struggle with coaching on that bench, unfortunately. It just felt like our guys were lost. It really did.
Yeah, you could tell the in-game adjustments weren't coming quick enough. And that's nothing against Casey Murphy. He's been with the team 4 years now, 4
He's
seasons.
Been with them for a while.
5.
Yeah, he's been with them.
Yeah, he stepped after. I think he replaced. I know he replaced Brian O'Quinn, but I can't remember what season that was.
I want to say first into the second, but I could be wrong on that one.
Yeah, it's just. I don't know if he had experience as a player in this league. You know what I mean? I'm always going to give an advantage to anyone that's played in that league that they're coaching in, because they're more. It was their job for 5, 10, 15, 20 years.
And I'm going straight to the chat on this one, because Tyler, 100%, you nailed the 2 on the head. That's exactly who I saw. And in my opinion, Toby should have been on the bench. If Nate can be on the bench, he's inactive. Toby can be on the bench. I don't see any reason why Toby can't be on the bench. Not playing, but in a coaching capacity. Because, we've seen this, and I can almost guarantee that this was part of the problem, is that we went on a downhill spiral as far as morale went on that bench. I can almost guarantee you. And that has been a problem since our first season. As the veterans go, so do everyone else. And I just feel like morale just nosedived throughout this game. Just slowly gone. And no one was there to necessarily reel it back. It was just kind of pushing over the edge. And I feel like someone like Toby on the bench coaching these guys, just again in a secondary capacity. I'm not saying take over for Casey. I'm not saying overshadow Tommy or anything like that. I'm just saying having that calming veteran presence. You've got Nate that can handle more of the midfield and stuff like that. He's very in tune with the midfielder guys. You have Toby that can really rein in the defensive guys, especially because some of them really get down on themselves more heavily than other players. We've seen some of these guys just really be hard on themselves during some of these games, and it tanks morale. And I feel like that's what happened here. It's just nobody was able to bring them back from the brink.
Well,
had to get off my chest.
You talk about our stats to tell in this one, because I'll go first. And my stat that tells the story is Mr. Zach Reggett, 2 goals, 2 assists, 4 points. In the games that Utica beat Kansas City, they shut him down. They didn't give him room to breathe. They didn't give him room to operate. They made him uncomfortable. In the games that they lost, he had an impact in every one of them. And he probably shouldn't have been there for this game. He had to choose between club and country and declined playing for the futsal team. He should have been in Ecuador. I guess we can only assume this means he hates America.
Wow.
That's a complete joke, but like, no, I get wanting to play for your club,
especially when you're on a tear.
I also wanting to play for your country, but if he's in Ecuador or Nilton and Frank are here and Everton's here, or even, however, it's once again another mark against the league for forcing players to choose during the playoffs and not just saying, like, look, Utica, you're going to play this game. You're going to have to forfeit your home game in the first round, just like happened last year for Milwaukee. We're going to get it done. And then we're not going to play any games at all, no matter who advances during the futsal tournament, because we want our best players here. So, once again, hey, great job with that. Just like picking a marketing partner. Really, really good from MASL leadership. They're just firing on all cylinders like a Ford Pinto.
Okay.
Nicaragua. Sorry, thank you for clearing that up. They're
his brain no work. His brain no
down
work
in
good.
the country. Yeah, very, very much not work very good now.
So I don't know. I guess let me start from the beginning. Reggett, for most of the game, I actually felt we had the right people covering him. However, there were lapses in that. One in particular that I specifically remember is when when Rafa had to cover him. That's not a good matchup, because he literally scored he literally scored on that play. Like, Rafa's a great player. Rafa he does well to get the ball away from people. That is a mismatch. When I saw Mo on him, great match. When I saw someone like Nelly on him, I maybe not as good of a match, because Mo has got the size. Nelly is he has a presence. It's just not that kind of presence. And unfortunately, he just Reggett threw his, I don't want to say weight around, because that's not, that sounds like I'm saying he's a big guy. He's not like a big guy, but he's bigger than Rafa by a bit. And unfortunately, he couldn't match up to him.
All right, your stat, sir.
Because this coincides with sort of what was just semi put in the chat, I gotta go with Coughlin on this one. I'm saying his save percentage. His head was not in this. I don't know what other stuff may have been going on in his life that may have led to his performance in this game. Because, as we've learned from Shea earlier on in this season, we don't know what's going on with these guys outside the field. I mean, if you saw him after that game, he was just absolutely devastated. Literally, fetal position on the field, just crying. So who knows what else is going on in his life that affected this game. But his head was not in it. You could see that from some of the missed saves. I mean, the one that just skirted off of his fingers. That one hurts so much. Oh, that one hurts so much. His throw-ins. I mean, he wasn't confident in his throw-ins. You could see that. That's why he kept distributing to his side, which I hate. I hate when we distribute that far back and then we have to work all the way up the field. It sucks.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I feel like we've been throwing in all year, and then all of a sudden we're distributing to the side when they can just easily take it away. And they were pressuring. They had the high press. We did not. So between some of the saves just being lacking and his distributing not being on par, you know, whether it was throwing in, whether it was kicking it. I mean, you know, there's a couple times where they went wide, and it's not characteristic of him. He's usually got some pinpoint accuracy, and it wasn't happening. So I don't know what it was, but I'm saying his save percentage simply so that I could lead into everything else that unfortunately just did not go his way and ultimately did not go our way for this game. Did you not like my answer?
Yeah, I don't know what was wrong. Yeah, no, I don't know what was going on with him. That first goal was baffling. The second goal right before the half probably could have been a kick save that he went to try to get with his hand. We watched throws slip out of his glove, passes. Every other one seemed like it was going out of bounds.
The one that got deflected 2 feet in front of him, he tried to throw it in. It went off the back of one of the KC guys.
He had the yips. I don't know how else to say it. Like, it looked like he had the yips. So,
I don't know what else might be going on with him at this moment, but unfortunately, whatever it is, definitely affected his game. I mean, this was not the Andrew that we normally see.
Yeah, it was uncharacteristic, and unfortunately, it came at the worst possible time.
And it pains me to say those things, but it's like, because he's a great guy and he's a great player. It just was not. Something was up. We could see it. He was in his own head all game, and unfortunately, it really affected his play.
Yeah, again, you got to wonder if that's one where if Everton's there, he says, Andrew, I know you want to be out there. You're clearly going through something. We're going to put Wilkin in.
We need to put our best foot forward.
Yes.
In this case, normally he is the best foot forward. In this
yes.
case, in this game,
even if it's just to give him, like 15 minutes to clear his head,
compile himself,
refocus, and shake off some of those miscues and mistakes.
100%.
But a play that changed the game.
Oh, I went first on the last one.
Yeah, okay, that's fair. The Dylan Hundelt blue card. Utica had just opened it back up to a 2-goal lead. And then, a minute later, Hundelt comes in with a tackle where, it didn't need to be a slide tackle. It didn't.
I got a nice front row seat of that one. That one was not pretty.
I'd love to go watch the replay, but because it was on Golazo, we don't have that ability. Just remember who we fouled, and I'm not looking through the play-by-play right now for that specific one. But his butt and hip hit the Kansas City player in the knee. It was terribly timed. It put Utica right on their heel. And then KC smelled blood in the water. and that kicked off a 4 unanswered goal streak.
Yeah, that one, I remember seeing that one and just like it immediately. I'm like, that's a blue. Like
It was so obvious that the odd was not booing
no.
the refs giving him a blue card.
It was just,
they're just like, yep, thank you for not making that a blue and a yellow.
yeah. I mean that watching, I don't even remember which player it was, but watching his knee just buckle and like watching his foot bend with his knee coming down. Oh, it was uncomfortable to say the least. We had a very clear picture of what happened, and yeah, it was a clear blue, a very blatant blue, and yeah, it definitely. I don't honestly think there's a better play than that one to really emphasize the downward spiral. I talked about the downward spiral earlier. That led into it.
Yeah. So your play.
I'm saying I'm going. I can't give you a better one than that. I mean, again, that
That's
literally started the downward spiral that I was
that is
talking
fair.
about.
Yeah, it just
like that led into the first goal, which led into 3 other ones, and of course the whole time morale is just going like this. And we had one good play after that with one good scoring opportunity where we capitalized with Ronnie. And yes, I do. I kind of felt the same way, Tyler and Huber. I mean, TWB played out of his mind. He was hungry. He wanted this so bad. You could see it. I mean, he was out for he wanted that playoff spot. He wanted to move on, and he was doing everything in his power to keep going. And unfortunately, it was just, again, it was a morale thing. I really feel like it was just his morale was not enough to keep everyone else up, and yeah, it just didn't happen. We could not keep our heads above water in the morale department. We couldn't, and it showed.
What needs to change coming out of this series?
Oh,
I can think of a few things.
I've got a couple things in mind, but go ahead. I
First and foremost, for me, yes, the transition game is fun to watch, and it was successful. But at the same time, we need defensive help. Not player-wise. I think we have the players that are capable of showing above-average defensive abilities. There were some plays last night where Alaba was out of his mind. For 46 years old, Nelson was doing stuff that no 46-year-old should be doing if they want to have hamstrings by the time they're 50. But there needs to be a commitment to defense as well. And I think the way you address that is bringing in a second assistant coach.
nailed it.
Someone that is, if Darren Toby wants to do it, hire him 6 months ago. Somebody that can to solve these in-game issues defensively and talk about assignments and losing your man and focus on that.
Yep.
Treat this kind of like you would for an NFL team. You can have your head offensive guy. He can run up, draw the plays, draw the set pieces. But when it comes time for defense, let a defensive specialist handle it.
Defensive coordinator.
It doesn't matter how good of a coach you are. Bill Belichick's one of the best defensive minds in NFL history, and he was terrible when he got rid of his Hall of Fame quarterback, and he didn't have a good offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
When he had a good offensive coordinator, they made Mac Jones look like he was going to be a Hall of Famer in his first season.
No, this was literally what I was going to bring up. Is like we need look. Everton is a good coach.
Yes.
No question. I am not questioning his ability to coach this team. But
his development for this team has been fantastic.
100%.
His scouting has been great for bringing in young players. Offensively, this is the best it's looked since they've moved to Utica. Set pieces have been good, except for last night. And yeah, the power play could use a little work.
As always.
And
I would love to get
this team needs help defensively.
I would love to get Segura back. I mean,
yeah. to the chat, yeah. Look, if Steph and Segura come back, that'd be great. I don't see Steph signing here ever again. I don't.
No, it kind of
not with the current front office.
I was gonna say it definitely it showed that there was a little bit of bad blood when he wished KC all the best and beating us in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. So it showed a little bit of his hand as to that there was a little bit of bad blood there. Mm-hmm. So I absolutely I was so thrilled to see Segura playing in Monterey. I was so thrilled to see that, in the Milwaukee game. It just made me wish he was playing up here. I mean,
yeah, it was kind of confusing when we sent him away because we couldn't get his visa sorted out, and then you see the story. They're talking about how Kelvin was signed and brought in, and the first broadcast there with Vasos and Bergrud, and I think it was Eric said something like, he talked to Tommy, and Tommy had said that Kelvin was originally signed by Baltimore, but they couldn't figure out his visa, so then you kept working, but they got it through. I don't know. I'm not an immigration lawyer. I don't know how those two things are different, but it seems weird that we could get Kelvin and not Segura.
I'm not sure what comment you saw, Tyler. I'm curious about that now. Sorry, I don't mean to go off topic.
The last comment I saw regarding that on social media was just the popcorn and eyes emoji. Just watching. Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
To quote a Green Day song, while your ship is going down, I'll stand by and watch you drown.
Yeah.
A little schadenfreude for said person.
Yeah. And yeah, circling back, that was going to be one of my first things, is that we need a defensive mindset. Not taking over, not anything clashing with what Everton's doing, but to keep us focused defensively. When we're on a penalty kill and they're going in for a set piece, they've called the timeout. I want to have somebody who's very defensive minded, a Toby or something like that, to be like, maybe not drawing up a play, but being like, all right, keep this stuff in mind. Keep in mind what this guy usually does. Keep in mind what they're capable of, or hey, think about this while you're out there, stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like, have that defensive mindset that can be able to refocus these guys in critical moments. Like I really think that would have been helpful last night, especially. But you know, again, not clashing with Everton, but complementing Everton's style. So,
yes,
because defensively we've lacked, you know, and unfortunately, it also kind of showed last night because, you know, what do we normally do? We're normally a quick counterattack team. The problem is we didn't want to commit to it because we knew that they had a quick counterattack too. So we would only send, I mean, I saw it through the whole series. We would only send a couple of guys up for the early counterattack, and then that way we had everybody already back. I mean, we weren't we had commitment issues. We were not committing to the plays because we knew we had to potentially fall back, and that's not a good mindset to have. You know, it sucks.
Yeah, it was a struggle to say the least. Positive.
I have one more thing.
Takeaway.
One more thing that needs to change, and it kind of goes along with having that defensive mindset. Our bench can be, again, I've mentioned this before, it can be a slippery slope morale wise. We need a presence on that bench to keep these guys up during games. A mindset coach is great outside of the games, in between the games. But he's not necessarily there during the games. We need a presence on the bench, keeping these guys focused during critical negative moments, during, you know, just negativity, and just a positive mindset is something we kind of lack during games. Things start going bad, we start going downhill. You know, the crowd, seventh man can only do so much to try and lift these guys back up, especially because it's going to be more and more difficult for the seventh man to do so when they're trying to keep themselves up. So we really need...
Yeah, when it's a playoff game and you got fans headed for the door 5 minutes before the game's over, because they haven't seen anything really for the last, 20 minutes of gameplay.
So I don't know who that's going to be. You know, obviously first person that runs through everyone's mind is Tim. I mean, he's always a positive mindset. And, you know, and we've seen that too, where he's trying to hype up not only the guys on the bench, but the crowd. He normally can do that, but he shouldn't be the only one. You know, and that's where I think somebody, again, like a Toby, you know, he may not, even if he's not necessarily a positive mindset, he is a critical mind that can help with keeping these guys focused, regardless of whether or not they're positive or not. So I really think that is something we need to look at, is just keeping their head in the game, keeping them above water mentally during the game. Shea can only do so much as a mindset coach, or, you know, in the mindset area outside of the game, but he's not there during the games. And that's not a knock on him. Don't try and, you know, that's not me saying, oh, he's not doing what he needs to do. No, he absolutely is. He is a great addition to this team to help them through, you know, the tough times. But what would have happened if somebody was helping to refocus Andrew during this game? Could have been totally different. That's just one example, of course. So, anyway.
Yeah.
I'm done. Positive takeaway.
Positive takeaway. Do you have one? We got to have something positive as we head into next season.
Yeah, I do. And I actually, you know, Huber kind of took it from me. I am very excited to see what we get out of Calvin going forward. You know, Calvin already showed us some amazing things on the field. You know, his the set piece between him and Mo in game 1 was just a thing of beauty with that stutter step into the left foot. That left foot, he's got to get a license for that thing because it is dangerous.
Did you guys understand why I put in the chat that we should petition for him to change his number from 7, which I still say belongs to Segura, to 0?
Because just say it. I already know what you're gonna say, but
because 0 degrees Kelvin is absolute 0, and that man is ice cold. He is a fresh glass of lemonade on a hot summer day.
Somebody get me out of here. Somebody just take me out.
You're in trouble now, Buster.
I'm saying he's cold-blooded. I don't know what that means.
Didn't even hear it, so it's fine.
Okay.
Such a dork. Oh. No, but seriously, I mean, you know, the fact that we know we have him for what is it, like a 3-year contract? I mean, that's
like 2 technically, because the playoffs and then next year or the next 2.
Knowing that we're going to see him in the regular season, it's a very exciting prospect to know that as long as nothing, you know, as long as we keep him through the off season and nobody comes at, you know, and you know, nothing happens, we trade him, whatever. I could not imagine doing that, but retaining him, and yeah, that's actually a good point. Segura was 8.
Was he? Why did I think he was 7? Who was wearing 7? Who am I thinking back to? Very.
Topic
teams last year.
Now you got me looking. Why do you do this to me? Like, I'm literally just opening up all of them from the past few years.
Oh, it was Fabino that wore 7 last year for like 1 game. But
and then yeah, before that, Gabriel Peru was number 7. Momo was number 7.
Momo was number 7. Okay, I knew there was a player that like left for reasons beyond his control.
Yeah, Momo.
That wore number 7. I just couldn't think of who it was.
It took me going back to 2019, 2020.
Man, if only Momo had been able to stay. He was developing.
He was entertaining. He was a good personality. But yeah, wait, where was I going with that? Yeah, Segura was 8, Momo was 7.
Mm-hmm.
That's when Diegues was 9. Because we had 7, 8, 9. Either way, I am very excited to see Calvin going forward. I know I've said that like 3 times, but I'm circling back. You know, as you know, for instance, Tyler highlighted, I mean, his movements are like butter. I mean, it is just smooth like ice. Playing off your thing. Just he's awesome to watch, and I can't wait to see as he develops in the indoor game and gets more acquainted with the things that can be done in the indoor game, and when he's not our only, I don't want to say our only like key forward, but when he's the most threatening presence on the field, because that's when teams shut him down, as KC did, to an extent. I would love to see him and Frank on the field because then it's like, okay, which one do we what do we do? So no, I'm just very excited for the future. Regardless of how we feel today, after, you know, getting knocked out of the playoffs, we have a very bright future ahead of us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I mean, there's plenty of talent on this team. We'll see what gets brought back after free agency. Do they list where next year is? No, they don't. Look, I'll say this as my bright spot is we don't have to worry about qualifying for the Futsal World Cup next year because it's a 4-year thing.
Okay.
So
Fair.
because number one, it just sucks losing that amount of talent in the playoffs. It sucks making players pick between club and country
And coaches.
and coaches. Yeah. What would you do if someone came to you and was like, hey, we think you're one of the 15 best people in the country at the job that you do. Can you come help us on a project for
You're
a
not gonna
couple
say
weeks? No. You're like, or you are, and you're basically just saying, man, thanks for the honor, but I like my bros too much.
Yeah.
Which also, I get both. But making someone pick
It does.
sucks.
It does suck making a pick.
And I'm going to look directly into the camera on this. Shame on you, Keith Tozer and MASL League leadership for making players and coaches choose, and the fans suffer. You want to put a good product out, and everything you do continues to spit in the face of that. It's ridiculous at this point. All talk, no walk. But we don't have to worry about it. And a great reason we don't have to worry about it is because the comments in social media have just been exhausting. To the fans, shut up. Shut up. They're not being selfish by choosing to play for the country. This whole city spent the past 2 weeks being like, go USA, go USA. When I guarantee you before this tournament, maybe a handful of people in the city knew a single player on the women's hockey team. And now you're like, I don't like USA anymore. Shut up, you hypocrites. We lost Bellier. Correct, yeah. I know he's playing for another country, which is why we kind of forget it. But yes, Steve, thank you for pointing that out. They were given an honor to represent this country. Something that, boy, if I didn't know any better, the fact that there were over 4,000 people in the odd twice in the past week for a sport that, like I said, I doubt most people in there knew a single player on the roster before the tournament. To then turn around and be like, I can't believe they would leave us. It's tired, it's childish, it's selfish. Get over yourselves.
It's as tired as it's as childish as getting thrown out of the odd for spitting on players.
Yeah, that's the other thing we have to talk about with the fans. Look, we've kind of become the bum section. We're hoping to become the bum and stud section. And a whole bunch of other chants and fun stuff. That said, we're not like physically assaulting the players with bodily fluids or cups and beer or threatening them or saying anything that would really get you in trouble. Like if someone came up to me and was like, hey, you cheat at Monopoly. Well, you suck. Like, Okay, that was a weird insult, but cool. And that's the kind of random stuff we're throwing out there. I threw obscure Dragon Ball Z ones because Rian Marquez does Dragon Ball Z celebrations. I don't know if anyone else there knew who Oolong and Hercule Satan are, but I guarantee you he did.
Yeah.
And sometimes they're just jokes.
Yeah. And that's
quite literally jokes. I think you were still down in the beer garden when I hit Nacho with, "Hey, I heard you stole your nickname from a Jack Black movie."
I was there for that. That one was great. That one was pretty good.
Oh,
I got a
okay,
good
you were up there
chuckle
for
out of
that one. Yeah, yeah. Obviously, it's not serious. Because yeah, anyone that looks at his name, Ignacio, oh, that's how they got Nacho. Pretty easy. Like, look at that. Or Bradley to Brad.
Yeah.
It's not a difficult connection to make.
No, not at all. No, but it's fun things.
Yes.
It's we're heckling, but we're doing it.
It's just meant to be a quick little distraction to get their attention off the field.
Yes. And not.
We're not getting the police involved.
Yeah. So, I mean, you know.
And to the keyboard warriors that have never set foot in Utica and are like, "Ah, you guys are a terrible fan base." Come to the Odd. You'll have a great time.
Yeah.
You got great food options. You got a great atmosphere. And outside of the occasional one drunk donkey in the crowd, the one drunk Johnny Knoxville, if that makes the word that I'm looking for a little more obvious. The fans, well, they're going to treat the players well. Every team that walks in is welcome in 72 afterwards, whether they beat us or not.
Yep. I mean, I've traveled to, obviously you and I have done some traveling. I know, Huber's done some traveling. Like, we haven't had a bad interaction in other places. So,
No.
but one person or one group makes everyone look bad. And, then...
No, they don't. No, they don't. Not if you have IQ above room temperature. Because Derek Huffman spit on a player a few years ago, and nobody was being like, "Wow, that whole Milwaukee Wave team is trash." They were like, "No, this one player who has a history of doing bad things did a bad thing."
But when it's a faceless fan, nameless fan, then it gets generalized.
Again, if you have room temperature IQ. Because otherwise you write it out as, "Wow, I can't believe that one fan was doing X, Y, and Z." Did anything happen to stop that? And then everyone that was there would have been like, "Yeah, the cops came and took him away."
Which,
And that would have been the end of it. But because you had to word a post like someone who works for the league, they keep putting out statements that make them look dumber than they are. Because of that, you created a big kerfuffle and just more chaos and stupidity in this world.
Either way, be a supportive fan. Don't be a jackwagon. Just don't. Like, we love supportive fans. We love passionate fans. We are ourselves. We're loud. We're rowdy. Doesn't matter if we're up in 212. We're down in the beer garden. Doesn't matter. We're going to be loud. We're going to be boisterous. We always are. And we're going to tell you what we feel about you during the games, but it doesn't carry over. And it never will.
I mean, the last time I was in the beer garden, I told the official to do his job correctly for the first time all day in overtime. To his face. Like, my heckling will get personal. but none of it's going to be, hey, let me spit on you, let me pour my drink on you, we're not trying to have a malice in the palace. We don't need players feeling like they get attacked. We want them going, wow, that place was uncomfortable to play.
Ooh.
Yes, to Huber's point, we are loud, we are proud, and some of us have weird sneezes.
And I'm going to say this. I'm just going to say one quick thing. Hats off to Stokic for keeping his team from literally, like, he kept his team in line when all of that was happening. I was literally watching him pull them back from the boards, calm them down. He did his job. He kept them in line, kept everything civil. It could have escalated so much worse. And instead, he did his job. So hats off to him for controlling that situation. That could have just been so much worse. So.
All right. The last elephant in the room that I think needs to be addressed is, hey, you come back here. I'd like to further expand where I said I am rescinding a statement where I said Sigic can do reviews. Because his review in this game on the challenge was wrong. And you're going to be like, hey, Matt, you're a fan. You're not actually a ref. How do you know it was wrong? And we'll be like, well, because I've read the rules a couple times for important things. And I actually have the rule written out right here. And on that challenge, Utica was looking for a penalty shot. Couldn't be a penalty shot, wasn't in the penalty box. But should have been a shootout. And you know why it should have been a shootout? Because according to Rule 14.7, shootout. A shootout shall be awarded for any of the following fouls committed by a defending player in his defensive half of the field, which denies the attacking team of an obvious goal-scoring opportunity. A foul against an attacking player having control of the ball or the likelihood of gaining control of the ball and one or no defensive players between himself and the goal. Guess what? That was a tactical foul from behind with no one between, I believe it was Taylor at the time, and goal. It was a clear goal scoring opportunity. And when he goes on under review and gives us the reason why he's correct, he's lying to you. He's just trying to save face. It's the same reason he sat there last week trying to explain why he called two different contacts to the head differently. It's the same reason why when we saw one of Utica's players get taken out at midfield when KC dropped a shoulder in a clear charge, he went, no, shoulder to shoulder, even though it was shoulder to upper arm because, again, dropped the shoulder. He lowered it into a charging motion. This man is a blemish on every game that he officiates. Every game. And he's the head of officials. This isn't MLB. This isn't NBA. This isn't NLF or NFL. There is a union for these officials in this league, just like there isn't a union for the players. There's no reason then to not move on from him. It's a disgrace. And I don't know whether he's just left to assign himself to these big games or someone else in the league office is doing it. But whoever is assigning him to big games needs to lose their job as well because it's a joke. It is a clown show. Yeah, at least when, as an MLB fan, we watched this Angel Hernandez guy who's been one of the worst umpires in the league for 30 years now continue to have a job. You go, yep, unfortunately, he's protected by the union. They don't have that. Why? Why are we stuck with this ridiculous task of watching the same inconsistent. We've talked to players. You've been in 72 with me. When we've talked to players and asked them about officials, and they're like, yes, Sigic is terrible. He's inconsistent. He can't get like that. That's all the players want. That's all the fans want, is we want consistency. And he can't give it to you. There were pioneers on the Oregon Trail dying of dysentery whose bowel movements were more consistent than this man is with making calls in MASL games. And he has review technology to go back and look at it, and he still can't get it right. What are we even doing here?
Certainly blame Oregon Trail.
I mean, we saw it under review. You know, that's what we want. We just want consistency. We saw it in the most recent under review. Like,
yeah,
we just want consistency, and it doesn't happen.
Yeah, and the player in question, Lucas Almeida, was like, I have my ref license, and no thank you. Yeah, I don't blame him. I wouldn't want to be a part of the circus that is this clown show of officials. And this comes I can go back through the group chat and I can pull up the screenshot. And the first thing I said about the game in KC was, it's good to see Elvis Osmanovic get his first postseason game. He did a good job keeping things under control, being consistent in that Utica-Milwaukee game. It's nice to see him rewarded. And then we watched them give the next big game between these two teams to Sigic.
Well, and at the same time, you would
head up his own butt of officials.
You would imagine that the head of anything is one of the best at it. But it just appears that doesn't seem to necessarily be the case at least in the consistency department. You know, the consistency of calls.
So, have you ever heard of the Peter principle?
Peter Piper picked a pack of peppers?
No, it states that a person who is competent at their job will earn a promotion to a position that requires different skills and that will keep happening until they reach a point where they don't have the skills for that position.
I've somewhat heard that one, yeah.
Mm-hmm. I present the MASL.
Fair. It's fair point. No, it's a terrible point. I hate it.
And they're incompetent at the new level. Because of that, they can't get promoted again. You know, I at one point commended this league on doing the under review.
Yes.
But when so many of the calls are the guy running under review, who's the head of officials, and even when the DNC or DRC, whatever.
DNC.
DNC. DNC. Now, review DR.
Disciplinary Review
DRC,
Committee.
Discipline Review Committee. When they come out and are like, he did it wrong, they just ignore it. They just go, we're not going to talk about that. The committee already said their thing. No, I want to hear you come out and say what you were thinking in that moment and acknowledge that you were wrong. Admit fault. Don't just brush it aside.
Yeah, that's one of those few things that you almost always will not see in anything, is admitting fault.
No.
Like, that's...
I would rather go back to not getting under review, though, than have this pretend image of accountability.
It would be nice if under review also came with, like, actual change. You know, seeing things get changed, seeing them, you know, leading to improvement. And it does not feel that has happened.
Mm-hmm. You know, I was never going to mention this publicly, and you know what, I will. At earlier this year, a letter was sent to all the teams stating that because of performance issues, unnamed officials were taken out of being assigned games. They weren't going to make it public because for some reason they don't want to let anyone know that they're actually trying to do something to be accountable and improve things. And probably because they still left Sigic in that cycle. It's like going to the dentist and being like, okay, we need a filling here, a root canal here, and we're just gonna brush them and forget about that for the rest of the year.
Interesting way of putting it. All right.
Like, you have a serious problem that needs to get taken care of, and you can't put lipstick on a pig and call it a supermodel. I mean, you can, but everyone's still going to know it's a pig.
But yeah, it's not going to. We're going to see through it.
Just
tired of talking it to death.
Like, I went back. I'm so tired.
Yep.
So tired of it. Talked with one of the upper business guys last night who just passed through, and I was joking like, hey, are we going to give him the same treatment as that fan that was spitting and not allow him back in the building? He goes, why? What did he do? And I'm like, well, he officiated it. He goes, why? He's one of the worst in the league. He didn't even see the game, and he just knows.
Wow. He's got that kind of a reputation.
Yeah.
All right.
Yes. The people that haven't even seen, like, it's just, it's baffling. The league continues to let this go on. It's driving a car with a broken control arm. It's dangerous. You're fighting to keep it on the road because it constantly wants to pull to one side. And you're just like, nah, I don't need to get it fixed.
It's fine. It still keeps me on the...
I'll just keep driving it until I do even more damage to it. Maybe the off season will bring change, but I doubt it. And we'll be back here next year, just banging our heads against the wall again.
Yay! That's my favorite pastime.
Mm-hmm.
No, I mean,
I haven't even watched the chat for the last 20 minutes while I was doing this.
He's just been going off. Not to say that it's not, justified. It's just, unfortunately, who knows whether we'll ever see any real, I don't want to say positive change because that's not what I'm thinking of, but, not formidable. What's the word I'm looking for? Any substantial change. Yes.
Any actual
whether
changes?
We'll see that or not is yet to be seen.
Other league news. We missed Chihuahua coming back against Tacoma. The Sockers came back after dropping the first one against Texas, and Milwaukee pulled off the upset of the century.
Yeah.
And beat Monterey.
Which would have set things up. I mean, it sets things up great for Kansas City because now they have home field. No matter who won this game yesterday, they were going to have home field advantage in the next round, which we thought was just off the table. And it just, Milwaukee came in and they shocked the world.
Mm-hmm. I don't know how much, like, when you guys were all in the chat, just like, oh my God, I can't believe what just happened. And I had to be like, could someone explain? I really wasn't that shocked because I saw that they had forced the mini game, and we know anything can happen in a mini game, and we've talked about it before on this, about how hard it is to beat a team 6 times in a season. Well, that second game in Monterey, that was the 6th time those two teams have played. They played 4 in the regular season, 1 in Monterey, and then 1 in Milwaukee for the playoffs, and then that one was game 6.
Yeah, I mean, with anytime you're looking at a mini game, you're literally just hitting the reset button. I mean, literally anything can. It's just like overtime. You know, anything can happen in an overtime. Anything can happen in a mini game. So, I mean, look what Chihuahua did with a 15-minute mini game. They scored 5 times unanswered. I mean, yeah, it's so much can happen in those smaller all or nothing style games. So
yeah,
it's crazy.
It has been an insane end to the season.
Our season.
Best of luck to the teams that advanced. Are you rooting for anyone in particular to win?
I don't know. I think at this point, I just want the West to win. Like, I would not mind seeing repeat champs. I think that's where my head is kind of at this point. I mean, I don't really have anyone that we necessarily root for on the Comets, for instance. You know, if I had specific players, then it's like, okay, then it's like, you know, you want to root for that team, for that player. And you could say the Wave due to Correa. You could say because of Ben Raymond. I mean, you know, Ben was an integral part of Utica's inaugural season. So I mean, you could say the Milwaukee Wave. That one kind of gets balanced out by certain players that I really, really just don't like on that team. Willie B. I mean, I'm not saying Willie B is one of those ones that I really don't like. Willie B is another one that I would absolutely root for the Wave. I would love to see them at least. Well, I mean, I at least want to see them make it to the Ron Newman Cup. If I had to pick a team in the East to make it to the Ron Newman Cup, I want Milwaukee, because Willie B deserves all the praise in the world. He deserves that, everything and more, because of how well he's played this season. He has been just an absolute, to take a word out of your book, an absolute stud. And he's a great human being. He deserves everything that he's getting in this season, and more. So if I had to root for a team to at least make it to the Ron Newman Cup playoffs or Ron Newman Cup championship, Milwaukee, because of him and our other old Utica players. Overall, though, because I have a little bit of a, I don't know why, I just don't, I have a hard time rooting for Milwaukee. I wouldn't mind seeing Chihuahua getting back to back.
That's more than I could say. Like, the Sockers are exhausting. I don't want them to win. Chihuahua, they're fine, but we don't get an English broadcast, so I can't enjoy the games as much. And that's not their fault. That's, again, on kind of the league for not being like, hey, let's do a simul stream where the whatever team they're playing can do a broadcast.
I don't care if I don't understand them. I love it. It is so much fun listening to them.
I don't know. It's the same reason I can't watch sub anime. I have to watch dubbed. If I can't understand it, I can't pay attention.
Heathen. I'm kidding. I mostly watch dub too, so I get it.
Milwaukee, they beat us too many times. Kansas City just beat us, so like, yeah. Can
No,
they all lose?
Can't.
What if COVID hits again?
Oh, come on.
What if COVID hits again
Oh,
for like
come on!
the next
Don't do
3
that.
months?
Don't put
Come
that out there.
Let's just like the election. I'm rooting for Meteor 2024 and the dinosaurs and end these playoffs.
Wow. I
At least we have enjoyable broadcasts to listen to for every. Again, if I could keep up with them in Spanish, but I barely remember how to say things beyond like "Donde está la biblioteca? Puedo ir al baño, por favor?" Or "No moleste los animales."
Matthew.
It means don't bother the animals. Molestar means to bother.
And no, to your point,
You think you could teach a class of 15 and 16-year-olds molestar and not have them remember that forever? No, that's hilarious.
Yeah, I get it.
It was a whole section on the zoo, and they were like, don't bother the balls. Big wink.
no,
All I got.
to your point though, we definitely have some good broadcasts coming up. Obviously it was a treat having Eric Bergerud in Utica, and having that.
Wish you gotten a chance to meet him, but
He came down to the beer garden, so
I was gonna say he waved to 212
Yeah.
while you and Huber were up, so that
super
worked.
nice. So looking forward to that. Always looking forward to those to Eric Bergerud and the Kansas City broadcast. Milwaukee's is always, at least when we're not playing, it's enjoyable to listen to. So I mean, fantastic series coming up to be able to watch. We may be out, but I'm still gonna watch it because I enjoy soccer. Plain and simple. I enjoy this sport. I'm still going to enjoy it regardless of whether we're in it or not. It just kind of takes the stakes off of things, and I like that. It's nice to be able to watch and not be like, stressed out. It's like, who cares who wins? Good luck to both of them. Good luck to all 4 teams remaining in the Ron Newman Cup playoffs, and go Chihuahua.
Yeah, just let the players play, let the coaches coach, and teach the officials to officiate.
Yeah.
Sucks. I think that's going to wrap up everything for us tonight. Going to work out some details. Hopefully we'll have at least one player, maybe 2, some royalty on.
I do enjoy SOGs. All the SOGs.
And SOGs and defense and SOGs and defense and SOGs. Anything you need to add, Brandon?
I added my SOGs. All the SOGs. And go Chihuahua.
Yeah. Until next time, I'm Matt. He's Brandon. He says, "Vamos." I say, "Go Newtown Pride." Can't wait to watch TST and all these MASL players take home $1 million again.
Good luck, everybody. We'll see you later. SOGs.
SOGs.
Thank you for listening to the Keeper's Corner podcast on whatever podcast app you use. Please make sure to hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode. If you'd like to interact with us, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, and Twitter or X, whatever you prefer to call it. We have a TeePublic shop where you can get UCFC player swag or help support the podcast. Thank you. We appreciate it. And one last thing, go Utica City.